Since 1968 there's been a very strong link with the people of Belfast and the people of Northern Ireland with a theatre on this particular site. And if you know Belfast well at all, you'll be aware that this is actually one of the most attractive areas of the city. The location beside the river is stunning, and you know, from outside and from inside the theatre you can see those vistas and see how that impacts on the building and the people who use the building.
I think our ideal situation was to bring back the atmosphere of the old theatre and the intimacy that was in the old theatre. We didn't want to create a very large, and the Lyric didn't want to create a very large auditorium that would feel half empty. They wanted to hold that original intensity that was there. And even in terms of the materials and the type of space that it is, it's a really small, intimate, collective space.
The old building was, you know, had definitely reached the end of its life, so it's just a joy to come into work every day. And as I say, when we welcome all new artists, they just come round the place and go, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe this theatre's for us and for us to use." And you know, we've had people like Ken Branner and Simon Callow saying it's the best new theatre that they've ever seen.
And that was one of the very important things for us, that we had a flexibility within not only the auditorium and the stage, but also within the building. And you know, one of the things that I was very keen on when I arrived at the project was that a lot of the rooms that we had were not identified as a room for a particular function, but a room as a flexible space, so that it could serve as a meeting room, or it could serve as an auditioning room, or it could serve as an office space, whatever we actually needed to. And when we get inside, you'll actually see how we use those different spaces.
John sees each of these points in the building like stages in themselves and congregation points. And also the same as tailoring is happening in section as well, because you know the heights of the spaces, you know, you're kind of compressed at the entrance and then it's released at the second phase, and then there's a further, you know, void through the building, obviously to allow as much natural light into the social spaces, the in-between spaces of the building. So obviously the kind of the flow, the social space between is you know where we can use light and create more drama. And I think John would feel that, you know, going to the theatre, the time before the performance and after the performance is just as important as the performance itself, because people do come to meet people and it's a very social thing to do. You'll notice that the character of the three main spaces are individual in themselves. So you have the auditorium is designed, the rows of seating are actually creased to look at each other, so that when you're in the theatre it isn't just lines of people, you can actually look down and see who else has come to the show.
We've had a variety of work. We've had straight plays, we've had musicals, we've had some gigs and some comedy gigs, and they've all just adored the sense of the sound. It works beautifully for them, but the sense of intimacy for the audience and for the cast on stage, which is one of the things we very much asked the architects to work on, but also get a bigger auditorium than we used to have. And how they managed to do that and keep that intimacy is phenomenal.
So the architects asked you what you wanted, did they?
In the initial stages they did.
And you said?
I said everything that you can possibly give me. I said space was crucial. We needed a changing room, we needed a proper laundry room, and I wanted Belfast sinks rather than the ordinary sinks, you know, so that we could dye stuff without any problems. And we got pretty much what we asked for.
Do people ever say to you, "Oh, we missed the old theatre, we loved that"?
What they do say is that we have incorporated in the new theatre the things that they did like about the old theatre. They didn't like the very low provision of toilets. They didn't like the darkness of it. The staff didn't like the facilities, which were not fit for purpose. So people come into the new theatre say, look, we love the old theatre because no matter where you sat, you could have a good view of the stage. You've managed to achieve that in an enlarged theatre, and that's something that really brings us back to the old days, and we're glad to renew our acquaintance with the Lyric Theatre Belfast.
A studio space which is brick-lined, more industrial warehouse, more flexible in terms of layouts, and it's got a window to the street, which has got an unusual thing for a theatre space, and the rehearsal room, which is based on the dimensions of the main stage, so you can build the set in that room and play off it. I think he's always playing with the tailoring of space and trying to open it and close it in its dimensions, so that people are feeling like they're on a discovery. And you'll notice the way the stairs shifts, you know, the second set of stairs isn't directly in front of you, it's shifted towards the main bar social space, and the long hall has got a different direction. So each room feels like it's got its own aspect. So, and the shift of the window is obviously looking down the river in one direction, but the bar window is shifted another way, which gives you a different aspect down the river. So each room has its own character, its own aspect towards the landscape or the city.